Convictions for Jeanne Whitefeather and Lantz mark a major milestone in West Virginia. Now, the couple looking at decades of prison time after their adopted black children were found locked in a shed in Sissonville, later uncovering years of abuse, neglect, and forced labor.
Yeah, this was actually the first time the state history for those charges were brought forward at the state level, let alone convicted. Anna Saunders sat down with a member of the state task force who says this was a significant step in statewide fight against human trafficking.
Even before the guilty verdicts were read for Jeanne Whitefeather and Lantz.
Guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of human trafficking.
The charges alone were historic. Dr. Patrick Kerr, a chief psychologist with CAMC and a member of the state's human trafficking task force, echoing what prosecutors have said all along, that this is the first time human trafficking has been charged at the state level.
That's a significant milestone because it recognizes that human trafficking can take multiple forms and can be prosecuted at the state level. So it doesn't always require the involvement of federal law enforcement or federal prosecution.
Human trafficking was added to state code in West Virginia in 2012. Back then, it required that at least 2 people had to be trafficked within a 1-year period for it to apply. Kirsch says it was then amended in 2017 to better reflect federal law. So what Lantz and Whitefeather were convicted of has only been around for 8 years.
Human trafficking is the compulsion of labor against one's will, any form of labor, through force, fraud, or coercion. And I think that's something that is often misunderstood about human trafficking. People don't have to be chained up, or tied up, physically restrained for a case of human trafficking to be human trafficking.
Kerr says this case in particular has the ability to show the rest of the state what's possible and how it can be applied.
I think this is a case that really highlights that labor trafficking is something we absolutely need to be paying attention to because of how prevalent it is, and sometimes it flies under the radar, often because of the disproportionate focus on sex trafficking.
Kerr applauds not only the police and prosecutors, but the jury for being presented with the evidence and with this definition and applying it for the first time in the state.
We don't often hear about human trafficking cases. Juries are not necessarily tuned in to that the way that they may be to other cases and other types of charges. So it was really effective communication on the prosecutor's part, and the jurors were willing to hear what evidence was being presented, take that in, and apply the relevant human trafficking laws to that as well. So I commend them for their work as well.
And as Human Trafficking Awareness Month closes out today, Kerr also commending the neighbors who saw kids working in the yard in Sissonville and eventually saw them get locked away and called it in.
So public awareness campaigns work, and people who are concerned about their fellow citizens, especially those who are more vulnerable, are going to be a really important piece of this. If you see something, say something.
In Kanawha County, Anna Saunders, Eyewitness News.